Deploying summer cameras for us comes down to whether we could put analogics out or whether we cannot.
It'll be north of 20, 25 cameras with analogics on them. We're starting our summer inventory. We're gonna see who's alive and who's around. In the hundreds with the heat index, 105.
These fences are working. Just got to do a little bit of maintenance. Perry's weed eating. I'm gonna come back and spray.
I will tell you what they are. They're persistent, and look at the prize at the end of the day. This is an absolute giant in Kansas. For those of you that love to elk hunt, here's a great one out in Oregon with the Odells. It doesn't get any finer. Is anybody else out there as ready for deer season as we are here at Drury Outdoors? The preparation's happening, the phone calls increase, the texting increases. What about this buck? The interest level is peaking. And part of that peaking is food plot preparation. It's putting trail cameras out both in Missouri and Iowa for our group. It's putting analogics out, it's praying for rain, it's watching hunts from last year in the heat of the summer, one of the coldest hunts you've ever seen. It's also, for those elk crazed hunters out there, we've got some elk action. This one's gonna be a good one. We've got a little bit of everything and a lot of action coming at you right now here in episode 11, Deer Season 23.
Here we are, it's July 26th, and we're starting to deploy our Reconyx cameras. And some of the best tips and tactics that we've used down here in Missouri, in Mercer County, where we can't feed or can't use any mineral. We get close to a pond and a food source, and try and get the camera as close as we can to water, because during these summer months it's so hot and they depend so much on water. And so that's what we like to try and do down here until we can move all of our cameras over to scrapes, where we obviously get the best photos and reconnaissance of them. But like I said, this time of year, they're not hitting scrapes yet, so get close to water, and we usually get our best pictures and most intel being close to water this time of year. We're actually on the corner of this little clover field right here. Pinches down right here to this little pond, so it's really a pretty good summer spot. Another thing that you can see that I'm doing here is facing our cameras north. That southwest sun really takes a toll on your picture quality. That sun just wrecks a photo. So we like to face all of our cameras north as much as possible, or to the southeast, and stay away from that southwest evening sun. Well, we put these electric fences, we used the ribbons, and we put them up probably 4 or 5 weeks ago when the beans were about 3 to 5 inches tall. And as you can see, they're working, but over time we get a little bit of rain, and the grass grows up and shorts out the fence, so then they become not working. So Perry's been weed eating, I've been coming behind him with the spray and trying to keep these fences clean. Like I say, there's a little bit of maintenance with it, but these fields normally would only get to be about 6 to 8 inches tall. The deer would just mow them completely off. We're down here in northern Missouri, and we do have a lot of does down here. We've been working on them with our DMAP program. Between the DMAP and our electric fences and all of our efforts going in, we've been able to have a little bit of food here come late season and early season, but for late season, to push the deer on through the winter is our main goal. So these fences are working. Just got to do a little bit of maintenance. Perry's weed eating. I'm going to come back and spray, and we should be good all the way through the rest of the season.
Deploying summer cameras for us comes down to whether we could put analogics out or whether we cannot. And in many states, you're regulated based on CWD laws, so on and so forth. In areas where you can put feed out or mineral out, it's fairly easy, in my opinion, to get summer pics. Regardless of the attractant, you're gonna get a lot of deer pictures. For us, it's Analogic Supplement Gold. I think mature deer come to it like nothing else I've ever seen. It is one of the best tools we have at our disposal to go out and get trail pictures during the summer, particularly bucks and mature bucks. It has everything in it that they desire at that time of the year and that they need, and their intake is unbelievable. We avoid wet areas or wet periods. We look at the forecast, and if there's rain coming, we just avoid putting it out. We don't want that particular product getting wet or molding or anything else. It's got mold inhibitors in it, but we don't want it to get sticky or anything like that. So we look for a dry period. We put it out sometime between July 25th and late August. And we just literally get every buck in the herd. We've had great luck doing that for several years. The added benefit to that is the overall health component you get with Supplement Gold. There's a lot of different things in there that actually help them ward off EHD, and if they do get it, it helps them avoid the secondary infections that they can get because of EHD. So that's one strategy. You travel south for us across the line into Missouri, and we're in a CWD zone, so therefore you can't put any of that out. You can't get the deer close to each other. So there we're going on trails, we're going on gate gaps, we're going on historical scrapes. And one of the ways that I find those, I do a lot of scouting in the winter or in the early spring before it greens up. And if I find a big hub scrape, I'll mark it in deer cast, put a scrape down or put a deer paw down, and then I know to go back to that area and put a summer camera there. And while they won't check them with the regularity that they will say in late October, those deer will still come to that hub scrape and you're going to get their picture. It might take a little bit longer, but put it out early, leave it there for 4 to 6 weeks, then go back and check it. You might be surprised at the results. So the strategy changes a little bit, but the overall desire is to find out what bucks made it through the winter, what they look like, and develop that hit list.
Here we go. It is the first camera in Iowa for the day. We are putting out, I don't know, I have to count the list when I'm done, but it'll be north of 20-25 cameras with analogics on them. We're starting our summer inventory, and we're gonna see who's alive and who's around. Well, yesterday in Missouri, we put out a lot of cameras in spots where there's pinch points, water holes, and just areas where you can funnel the deer down natural trails that they go on that we know of every year. But luckily here in Iowa, it is a state where we can put supplemental feed out while it's not hunting season. So to get our summer inventory, there's nothing better than Analogic Supplement Gold. This spot we're in is back in the timber, shaded. There's some big south-facing slopes right here, and always holds a lot of deer. So I would assume right here in this spot, just the way it lays out and it's shaded, there's a pond not far away also. Analogics, gonna be some big ones right here. Janky hickory, got it set on a janky hickory. Oh, here we are. It's almost August. We started this morning putting out cameras, and if you can see me, I look like I've been swimming in a pond. It's in the hundreds with the heat index, 105, 107 yesterday. I think it's about the same today, but we're going to give the deer what they need. Put some Reconyx cameras out to get our inventory of who's alive and who's on the shoot list, and also give them some analogics to help them get through this heat, get through this drought. We had some rains about a month ago and we're dry again, but hopefully the analogics, the Reconyx camera shows us what we need and we help the deer doing it. So. Oh yeah, that's money, dude. While we're out here, we're gonna put our analogic supplement gold out, not necessarily close to a cornfield or bean field that they're feeding on this summer, but this is a really good bedding area, south facing slope. There's a pond not far away, and we're gonna see what inventory we get here with analogic supplement gold. Got a really strong drawing power. A couple key points that Andy's got in there is like to help with bugs, keep the bugs, mosquitoes, anything, midge flies from EHD. Also a secret ingredient in there to help the deer with EHD. So it's a lot in one bag, if you will. And we use it religiously and we get amazing results. When it comes down to analogic supplement gold, it will put the deer, whether it's bucks, does, to get your ratio, figure out how many deer you got on your farm, or to put that shoot list together, what we love to do, to figure out what deer are here, how mature they are off the Reconyx cameras, and figure out who we're gonna hunt through the fall.
All right, one of my favorite hunts last year was Shay Haddock out there in Kansas. Number one, the deer's an absolute giant. Number two, Cody and Shay put in the work. And then I don't know how they toughed out this evening, because what you see on film is two guys out there in clearly brutal conditions, but I was out that evening, I was in a blind, I had a heater, and I was still cold. These guys were in a tree stand, wind in their face. The target buck had them driven to the point that they were gonna sit these conditions. I don't know how they withstood it. I mean, obviously Scentlock has some of the best late season gear out there, but I will promise you these conditions would have put that gear to the test, and it put these guys' fortitude to the test. I will tell you what they are. They're persistent, and look at the prize at the end of the day. This is an absolute giant in Kansas. They withstood the elements and they got it done. Congrats, guys.
After taking down my target buck in the state of Missouri in the early season, I've got cameras scattered everywhere. Permission ground, leased ground, owned ground, public ground. And on the night of my anniversary, my Reconyx cell camera chimes in a picture. We're putting a game plan together to figure out how do we get an arrow in this big buck. We have an absolutely epic winter storm blowing through the Midwest. I mean, we're looking at DeerCast and it's saying great blizzard conditions, 25+ mile-an-hour winds, negative 20-something wind chill. We're hunting this hedgerow on what we believe to be this deer's shrunk down home range. Get in the stand safely and think warm thoughts waiting on this buck to make his appearance. The deer were starving under these conditions and they had to come out and feed, and we knew we just needed to buy our time. And so all the does filter out, a few young bucks come out. I look up and here comes a pile of does, and I look over at Cody and I say, get ready, man, he's coming. We watched him run out about 40 yards and tip over. An absolute epic hunt with a great friend and a moment that I'll cherish forever.
Oh my gosh, dude. That's my biggest deer to date, man.
December 22nd, a day that I'll never forget. Get to wrap the tag around a special buck that we called Naughty Boy.
All right, guys, here he is, Naughty Boy. It is late December, just a few days before Christmas. Absolutely frigid temperatures here in Kansas. And we got it done on a late season buck. Nice mid 170s class, whitetail with a huge 6-point side, and got it done.
So we're in the heat of the summer. There's a cold hunt to chill you down just a little bit and let you know what's coming this fall. Here's an elk hunt next. We're in that time of the year. For those of you that love to elk hunt, here's a great one from the great state of Oregon. John Odell out there, he and his son Jacob. This is part 1 of 2. You'll see the second half in show 12 next week. Here it comes, show 11, big elk out in Oregon with the Odells. It doesn't get any finer.
I'm up to bat. The Reconyx cameras and DeerCast tell us we should go back to the exact same location where Jacob shot his bull.
Well, this is a good sign. We got fresh wallows right here. Where we're hunting is a pond, probably 150 yards from here. We're hunting at an elevated stand. DeerCast map says the wind is absolutely perfect, blowing away from where we think the elk will come. Hopefully they'll come down to get a drink tonight and I'll get a shot, but that's exciting. The rut's kicking in, they're wallowing, they're bugling, chuckling, blinking. It's just an amazing time. It's middle of September here in beautiful Oregon at Opal Butte Outfitters, and hopefully tonight's the night. I pulled the card on the Reconyx, and there's at least 2 really nice bulls, a big 6x6, fully mature, dark horns, and then the bull I really wanted to shoot if I can. I hunted him last year. We nicknamed him Growler because he's so old he can't even bugle. And this year he's a big 6x1. Last year he was a big 6x6. This year he's a big 6 on one side and like a giant spear on the other side. And he's been coming regular according to the Reconyx camera. So hopefully tonight's the night. One of those big boys will show up. We'll see what happens.
I pulled the Reconyx card. As we're looking at the card, all of a sudden I hear bulls bugling from their bed.
It's getting prime time. And we just heard 3 different bulls sound off. He's even closer.
So the rut is kicking in. We're in the right place. Now we just have to hope, fingers crossed, one of those big bulls will come down in time and I'll have a chance with my Matthews bow.
see what happens. Fingers crossed, I think I made a good shot.
You know, after what happened to me last year, I really settled that HHA pin. Luckily for me, I put the Rage in the cage, and after a short tracking job, I had my first ever Oregon bull, a big 6x6.
Oh, yes, Jacob, look. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Look at him, Jacob. Yes.
This hunt was as exciting as elk hunting can get. This bull literally read the script. He came in and just put on a show. Deercast said, great tonight, and I would say it was accurate. This is as great can get. And just super thankful, super appreciative. It's absolutely a day I will never, ever forget.
All right, I mentioned at the top of the show, this one had a lot of different action, a lot of different pieces. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you got a little chilly watching Cody and Shay out there in Kansas. And then of course, John getting it done like he always does. Next week, it gets even better. It'll be part 2 of the elk hunt, another awesome deer hunt. And we're gonna do a little food plot architecture, talk about destination fields versus hidey holes.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV was brought to you by Victory Archery, the carbon arrow experts.